So the idea behind S6L was not just to create the obvious logical progression of what came next, but also to take in everything that we've seen happen in the world of audio.
If we could have the best desk you could possibly imagine, what would it look like, what would it sound like, what would be the features of it?
Build it in such a way that everyone says, well, it should have always been that way. Why doesn't everyone do that?
It's almost like we took everything that we learned in the original venue live sound environment concept and now have applied it to all of this new technology, and a lot of those hurdles, a lot of those boundaries are gone now.
Build it in a way that it's flexible to be able to handle whatever comes next.
We started to think about modularity, and we wanted to make sure that we had the most flexible and the easiest to use desk in the world, but also the best sound, because at the end of the day, our job is about making sure that the magic happens on the stage.
This concept of having a lineage throughout an entire product scale, from a very high-cost console to a very low-cost console, and have it completely unified. It's all the same stuff, just rescaled and reformed into a different form factor.
Here's the surface, here's the engine, here's the I/O boxes. And you make a networking system that enables you to change the configuration of any of those three parts.
Obviously, if we were going to release something like a 16-fader console, we want to have a reduced I/O count so you don't have to spend for the big I/O.
But then instead of just going, okay, let's make a cheaper stage box, we've made the stage 32, which uses exactly the same mic pre's, exactly the same output cards. We've just scaled it, and we've made it kind of more flexible so that any slot can be an input or an output. I like to call it Swiss Army knife of stage boxes.
The 112 really is all about meeting price point, but keeping all the capabilities that we can in it. And if you look at the capabilities of that engine, I mean, it is really, really powerful. It's really just about giving customer options.
Avid's new concept of building a range of mixing consoles that all have the same great audio quality and all have the same I/O options, well, I feel like this gives me a real flexibility moving forward into the future. It means if I'm doing a small show in a small theatre, I can get the same great audio quality that I can get on the really high budget show in the really big theatre.
They're scaling in a way that removes the things that are necessary to bring the cost down without pulling things away that we don't want to see scale in quality.
It means that I can still have the same audio quality for the monitor desk backstage as I do for the desk out front by just picking a smaller control surface and a smaller engine to match the front of house system. That I've kind of got a unified sound quality all the way through my system, as opposed to what happens at the moment where I have one particular desk out front and then something different on stage. It just means I can pick from the Avid family regardless of the scale of show I'm doing.
Price point is a big deal. It should be to any church, considering what they're doing in every aspect of their live production. So with this new modular format, I think Avid is really onto something in creating a platform that is both high quality, ergonomically friendly, and accessible at the kind of price point that I'd be looking for.
There's been this big movement, certainly in live sound, to move down to smaller and smaller control surfaces, but we fully realize that there are workflows out there that are going to require a lot of faders.
Because of the way musical theatre sound design works, often you have two people using the surface at once. So you'll have a sound operator and the sound designer both trying to get around the console at the same time. With the new bigger surfaces coming out, I feel like we'll have enough space at the mixing desk to actually work side by side without treading on each other's toes.
You know, the genesis of this console really kind of stems from our multi-select workflow in S6L that we released with the 32D and the 24D. I mean, it's wide enough where you can truly have two people sitting at it and operating, and then that independent select capability becomes very, very important, right? Because they want to be able to work independently on the console without having to rely on a single center section that both users need to address.
What we've done with the 24C is we've maintained a lot of what is incredibly familiar with the profile. It even looks similar to a profile, yet it has the additional features of what an S6L can do without being an intimidating product.
It sounds better, it's a 96K, it has more buses, has more inputs, and it's scalable to meet the project that you're working on.
I'll be able to edit my rider to show that any of the S6L line is acceptable for our show, all the way from 48 faders down to 16, which will make it easier to go into a small venue or a large venue or a small budget or a big budget.
Something else that interests me with the new control surfaces is the idea of using a big surface for the production process, but then going down to a smaller surface once the show's up and running. By making the mixing position smaller after the show's opened, we can potentially sell more seats, and if you've got a successful show, that can be a really big deal to the producers.
What makes the 16C amazing is the same show files that you've built on your stadium tour with an A-list artist. We'll load right up on that.
We do a lot of shows with the Utah Symphony in a variety of different venues, for example, where we would rehearse at one venue, we will do the show that night in a different venue, and then go back to the original venue with the show for the weekend. And having the ability to take the program cross-platform, not have to transport consoles and set them up like we used to, has been really, really huge for us and for the Symphony as a whole.
You're sitting on a network, and that network is scalable, and you can scale it upwards and downwards depending on the project that you're involved in.
I guess what excites me about the S6L is I feel like it's only just begun. The technology is just starting, that this is just the beginning of something that's going to continue on into the future and continue to get better and better.
We can't do it with the rest of the industry, but we can make sure that if you know something on our platform, you know the whole platform. You don't need to learn different workflows from different consoles depending on what your budget is.
Every console works with every engine works with every stage I/O.
It doesn't matter how many faders you need or how many knobs you need, whether you need 6 inputs or 200 inputs, you will always have the S6L sound quality.
People that come into at the lower tiers of S6L are going to experience the exact same quality and workflows that the highest end professionals are using. And that is very, very different from anything that is going on competitively right now. I literally cannot wait to have some of those new users get on this product and actually experience it. It's going to be really, really something to behold.